I just pray we don't run into issues. All right, cool. So now we are recording and we are set to go. So trust we are all doing fine. Trust we have been practicing even after the last class. Well, I also trust we've been doing a lot of justice to CSS and HTML, and then we are set to finalize some of the properties of CSS today. And then from the next class, which is next week, we are going to go into Tailwind CSS, which is a CSS framework that can help us build websites and our applications, can help us style it very, very fast. But before we get into that, we need to understand most concept of CSS so that Tailwind CSS is not going to be magic to us. All right, so last week we were designing, or day before yesterday, right? Yeah, I think that was Tuesday. We were discussing about floats, and then we use floats to structure the Facebook landing page properly, right? No, it was still looking uglier than Facebook, but we were kind of getting it right. So floats help us with layouts in our web page. It helps us with layouts in our web page, but it's not a very fast and efficient way to do it. There's a faster way to do it using what we call Flexbox. And then Flexbox is just a layout pattern, but this time around, before you are going to start using it, you first declare the whole container as a flex. You can also choose a specific direction that you want the flex to go, whether you want it to be in rows or in columns. And then you can specify the space between all the items. You can justify them. You can align them. So basically, Flexbox is just doing a lot of heavy lifting that Floats is doing, right? And then as a front-end developer, every day of your life, you find yourself using Flexbox. Either you are using what's it called, a normal CSS, or you are doing it with a framework. You still find yourself using Flexbox as a layout pattern because it's very effective, and then it makes your work quite faster rather than Floats. So if you have tried Floats and then we try CSS today, you are going to notice a lot of inefficiencies. So the last Facebook page I was designing, I think I'm going to abandon it. Or let's try to do some other stuff with it. So let's just see how. So let's head over to NW3 schools and then get started. So how many of us have I assume by now we all have VS Code, and we're all working with VS Code. And then only our assignments have been done, have been submitted on CodePen. I just want to believe so. Nice. So if you are still left out, just make sure you reach out to your colleagues so that they can just give you a quick overview of how to set up your VS Code for the first time. Because as a developer, bulk of the time, that is what you are going to be working with. Okay, so here we are. Can you all see my screen? Awesome. So let's go to Flexbox. So when you are becoming a master at using Flexbox, just know that you are gradually becoming a master in using CSS. So also hope to use to try out some CSS animation. Then you do CSS Grid yourself. or we try out CSS Grid and then you do animation yourself. So basically, Grid and Flexbox works the same, but Grid is just a robust way of achieving Flexbox and a faster way too. So Flexbox is a faster way of using floats, but then Grid is a faster way of using Flexbox. So you see, the more you go, the more the job gets easier, right? So where can I find it? I think it should be here. Advanced. Yep. CSS Flexbox. All right. All right. So CSS Flexbox layout module. Before the Flexbox, there were 4 layout mode, which is block, inline, table, and then position, right? I think we've discussed this already. And then these are all part of floating elements, right? So the flexible box layout model makes it easier to design flexible, responsive structure without using floats or positioning. So everyone is running away from using floats and positioning. And then this is the browsers that supports Flexbox. And then Flexbox elements. To start using Flexbox model, you need to first define a flex container. Nice. So the element above represents a flex container. The blue area with the 3 flex items. So if you want to, this is the flex container, right? This one, the blue container that you are seeing, this whole blue highlighted container. And then these are the items inside of this flex container. So like I explained, if you want to design using Flexbox, first of all, the whole container that you want to work with, you have to make the container flex. So as you can see, this is what they did here. So they used flex container. So let's go down and see how flex container is being achieved, right? So parent element container. Like we specified in the previous chapter, this is a flex container, the blue area with the 3 flex items. So the parent element is going to be given the property of display, and then it's going to the property display is going to be set to flex. As you can see, exactly what's happening here. So this is just the class flex container, and then this is the CSS that is set inside. Flex and then the display. So the display and then they set flex. And then the flex container properties are, so these are the properties of a flex container. You can either set the flex direction, like I told you, or you can wrap the flex or the flow, or you can justify the contents inside of the flex container, or you align the items inside the flex container, or you align the content inside the flex container. So first and foremost, the flex direction property. So the flex direction property defines in which direction the flex container wants to stack the flex items. So that's important first. How does the container want to stack the items? So by default, every flex container stacks the item in rows. So by default, it's like this. If you just display a container and you make it flex, it's going to align all the items inside in rows. But then you can also set it to column with the flex direction property, and then it's going to look like this. So in this example, you see what they did. They set the flex direction to column. So there's something we also call the column reverse. It stacks the item vertically, but from bottom to top. So exact same way that our items are aligned, that's what it works with. But this time around, if we do the column reverse, 3 is going to be 3, 2, 1. Right? So we're all going to try this out and see how it works. And then row. So if we make a row, like default is row. So except you just want to change it, but on default is row. Then you can also set the direction to maybe row reverse. And then this time around, this is going to be 3, 2, 1. It's going to display the items in reverse, right? So, so the flex wrap property. So the flex wrap property specifies whether the flex items should wrap or not. The example below have 12 flex items to better demonstrate the flex wrap property. So this time around, we have 12 different divs inside of one flex container, and then we are telling it to wrap, right? So how does the wrap works? So every container takes an available space, and then if container number 6 doesn't have a space to fit in on this row, it's going to automatically go down to the next row. So that's basically what flex wrap does. So no wrap, this means that we don't want to wrap it. So everything should be on the same line, even though there's no space. You should make available space and keep all on the same line. And then this wrap reverse. So from row reverse and column reverse, you know what this guy does, right? So row wrap, this is how it works. So the next item now is the justify content property. So you can justify content, you can align the flex items, right? So on default, all the items are justified to the left, but then you can fix it to the center, as you can see here. And then, so if you make it flex start, that means it's at the left, right? The beginning is a flex start, and then the flex end is going to be at the right. So you can also justify it space around, and then justify between. So I have like a pictorial representation of how justify content works. So let me just show you guys. So as you can all see, this border is regarded to be a div. So if you justify, so let's say this is the whole flex container, and then these 3 cards are the divs that we have in it, right? So first and foremost, if you say flex starts, which is the default, is going to align the items like this. If you say flex end, it's going to take them to the right, like I explained. Center, we keep them at the center. Justify the content between, so it's going to give them an equal space between. And then space around is going to give them the available space around, justify them equally based on the available space. And then evenly. Okay, so around will, you see how around says this, right? This half of this is being taken, and then an equal size is going to keep between these two. So evenly, it gives an equal space around all of them, even both the end margins. So you understand the difference between space around and space evenly and space between. In case there's something you want to achieve, you know how to work with that. So this is just how justify content works. And then with the like of this, we are going to build like a website from scratch, create the nav bar, the sidebar, and then use pure flex content, right? And then let's see how everything will look like. So you see how the align property works. This is it. You can also align the items from the flex starts. You know what that means from the beginning, which is the left. At the end, you can stretch it. You can give it a baseline. So this baseline, you can align the contents, etc. Right? You can stretch. So we're all going to try this so that we'll see what it looks like. And then with justify content, you can also center it perfectly. With flex, sorry, you can be able to center an item using justify content and align items. You set all of them to center, and then you have your div in the middle if it's just one single div. But you know that with floats, we're going to use a margin, and then we say margin auto, and then it takes it to the middle, right? So that's what I told you. In programming, or there are, for every single thing you see, there are like 100 ways to achieve it, or even more. So you don't stick to one particular format of how it works. So let's go back here. Where now? So where's my terminal? Let me try to, well, let me open VS Code. Then head up to a new window. Okay, and then open, okay, first work. Yeah, I think we have been operating with this. So this is CSS we're using the last time, or the page we're trying to style that we didn't finish up. So I think I'm going to create a new page today and then add it to it. Then we will try it out, right? And then create another new CSS file. So let me just do this real quick. So I'm going to say flexbox.html. That's what I'll call this. And then create a new file and say flexbox.css. Right? And then I generate the boilerplate of this. I just use this quick command to do that. Then I'll say flexbox. That's my title. And then this is the body that I can start styling. And then I just come here and then I open the CSS container to specify that I'll be writing my CSS here. And then I link it. So linking this, you know how to go about it. I just put the file path. So like if I said, let's just type in flexbox CSS just to link it. And then know that this is where we're going to do our styling, right? Okay, so let's add one div here, which is going to be our container. So this is going to be like the entry point of the app or of the HTML page, and then this is going to be our container, right? So so in this container, we are going to have a class. So this time around, I want to use class to always specify the flexbox, so that because we are going to be using different flexboxes, so that we can just know how to. So that anytime I want to use another one, we don't have to stress, we just call that class, right? So I'll call this flex container, right? And then I come here and then I style this. So class of flex container. And then we say what now? Display. So we'll say display and then we make this flex. So I know some of you have tried this out, but then I think the class also give us a better explanation of how Flexbox works, right? So what will happen now, I'm going to have 3 different divs in here. Then, so I'll make this one, just like how they did in the tutorial. Okay. I make this 2, then I make this 3. So this time around, the div in the Flex container, I think let's style them, right? So let's give them a class. So I'll just call this box a class of box. So I'll just paste this here. And then I come here and I say box. So let's give it a width of, let's just give it 10% of the parent, and then height of 10% too, and then white. So let's say The background color is white. Right. So let's take a look and see what we've been doing. So let's just go live. Awesome. So these are containers, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then what will happen is instead of this, I'll just use I'll just use a border. Then so that we'll just differentiate them. And then let's make it 1px solid and then black. Right. So let's see what this looks like. Awesome. Awesome. So next up, let's style our flex container. But this time around, because I always want to use this flex for other items, I won't have to stress and then style in the flex container. What will happen is I'll create an ID this time around. But you know what? Let's just do this in here. Let's just do it in the flex container. So let's use a background color, and then let's say let's use red or orange since they use blue, and then have a look. So use a padding. Is somebody speaking? Let's use a padding of 5px so that we can display this evenly. All right, cool. So these are our different containers in. Let me give this a fixed height. I think that would be better. Instead of saying 10%, I'll just say 100px. So that it has a nice. So we have a perfect size here. And then I'll start using the Flexbox to manipulate this, right? So like we explained, first of all, I say display flex, and then you see what it looks like. So what happens if this container is not a flex container? Let's see. So let me take this out, right? So I'll just comment this and then go back here. So can you see? On default, these are block level elements and they are supposed to be arranged in blocks. So that's why we are doing it like this. But then if it's a flex container, if I make it flex on default, like I told you, it's going to all appear in rows. So can you see how it looks like now in rows, right? That's how flex containers work. And then if I don't want to work with row, I think I can just change the flex direction, like I said, and then I will say maybe column. So let's try column and see. So can you see column, turn it back to this. And then if I want to go back to the default, I just set this to row. And then it's back to row, right? I can make this row reverse. So let's say row reverse. Can you see? So this time around, it's starting from the edge, and then it's going 3, 2, 1. If I make this column reverse, let's see. Good. So you see, it's going 3, 2, 1 in reverse. But prior to that, it was going 1, 2, 3, right? Awesome. So I just want to work with the default, which is row. So I just put it as row. And if I want to change the direction subsequently, I will. So let's use this pattern to see if it's going to still work, right? So let's try to justify the contents of this now and then make it work out. So let's use justify stats. So let's say justify content stats. So all the styling are going to be done inside of the flex container, right? But you know, in floats, you might actually go to like the individual boxes and then try to give them a position, or they try to make them float or clear so that the side is going to be arranged properly, right? But this time around in the flex container, in the flex box, everything is done in the flex container, and that will determine how the contents are going to be arranged or the contents are going to be justified in this. So let's justify content. Let's say flex start for a beginning, right? So if I say flex start, uh, you can see normal, default, just like how it looks like, right? So what's the next one? Flex end. So what does end do? So this flex end, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, just 1, 2, 3, just like the role reverse, but this time around it's not starting with 3, it's starting with 1. So basically just taking it to the end of the flex box, right? So what's next? I think should be center, right? Awesome. So let's try center and see how it looks. So center, nice. Can you see all items are being displayed in the center? So what next should we try? Let's try space between. This guy says they are all going to be styled between. So let's say space between. Can you see? Each of these elements are given space, a wide space as far as it can be between each other, right? This guy is at the start, this guy is at the middle, then this guy is at the end. So next up, let's check this guy. So space around, let's see. So with this building responsive website, is you see, it's becoming very, very easy, right? So I just specify the space around. So can you see it's giving half here, and then this both take an equal size. So if I fix this and then I say space evenly, can you see it's taking equal space here, here, here. So it depends how you want to use this or how you want to work with this. But this guy is very, very easy to use. And then I will advise you guys to go in depth into CSS Flexbox, because as a front-end developer, every day of your life, you are going to be using Flexbox, except you are not writing code that day. But so long as you are building a website or you are writing code, just know that you are going to be using Flexbox. So sorry, let me just reply this DM. Okay, so let's go. I think we should be back to W3 schools now, right? Awesome. So, so let's try flex wrap. How do we try flex wrap now? Let's say let's add like 12 more containers or 9 more and see. And then let's use the wrap thing. So let's go. Let's see what this looks like. Nope. Let me just clean this real quick. So let's see what our container will look like. Wow. So you see, it gave equal size completely to these 14 guys, right? So let's try to wrap this. And then I gave the size to like 10%. So let's try to wrap this so space evenly, and then let's say, so let's go back to the military schools and let's see the wrap. So let's say flex wrap, let's say wrap. So let's make it wrap now. Mm, Then flex wrap, we say wrap. Nice. Can you see? So the available size that you can dispense here is 9, right? And then when it gets to 9, it has exhausted this row. It then wraps the remaining elements to the bottom. But then remember, see now the sizes here is different from the sizes here, simply because we are still telling it to give a space evenly, even after it wraps. So if I take this out and then I go back here, can you see how the wrapping works now? Because this 10 wasn't going to fix in here, that's why it wrapped from there. So from 10, 11, 12 to 14, we have different elements there, right? So what happens to no wrap? Let's guess. So it doesn't wrap. Take the same size, right? And then let's say we want it to wrap. So that's how wrap works, and no wrap. And then wrap reverse. Well, you know what that does, right? Except you want me to try it out. And then we have done all the justify contents. We have seen what they look like. So now the next thing is to align the property, right? So now aligning the property, justifying does it, wait, is this horizontal? So justify does it in the rows, aligning does it in the column, right? So let's try aligning, let's see. So there are different ways. So let's try aligning to the center now and see. So align items, center. Oh, all right. So this is not working simply because I think I have to give a height to like the main flex container. So what will happen is, let me set a height here to this flex container so that we'll see how it works. So let's give it a height of let's say 100 VH, so that I should take the whole web page. Nice. So can you see how aligning works now? So aligning takes the items to the center, and then this time around it wraps and then put it in the center mode too, right? So you see how aligning works. So let's align it to flex starts. Can you see? Then let's align it to the end. Can you see how aligning to the end works? Yeah, so there are different ways, right? Stretch, or how does stretch works? So let's try using stretch to see. Or I think maybe stretching works if these containers, these individual containers in the div are of different heights, right? So if they all have different heights, I think stretching is going to stretch like the remaining to have the height of like the highest among all of them, so that they be in sync, right? Yeah, that's how stretching works. And then what haven't we touched? So align content now. So let's see how to align content. So let's give it flex wrap and then let's align content space between. So let's see what they look like. So align items stretch. This time I take the align items out and then I said align content. and then space between. Okay, it's like taking equal space between the both wrapped items. So let's take a look at this properly. So align content, space between. And then let's align it around. So you see how around works. So this time around, let me just try to change the height of the box. Let's make it maybe like 600 px. Oh, okay. That's a lot. Uh, let's see. Okay, I think much better. So this is aligning the content space around. So what next? I think baseline is not going to show any effects. Yeah, okay. Okay. What next can I add here? So to the end and then to the start. So basically that's just how most of these things works, right? As you can see. So what next? What next? So this is how to center like a particular content and then give it a particular position, right? Take it to the middle using Flexbox. So you use justify items and justify content to do that. So a lot of time, these two are you use them interchangeably, right? Uh, a lot of times because it confuses even devs that have been working, even front-end devs that have been working for years. They still get confused when it comes to justify content and align content, right? You just do it and then try and see the result it gives you until you get used to it. That's when you know, okay, this time around I use justify content, this time around I use align content. So a lot of time is people using them interchangeably. So you just keep trying and then keep experimenting and then see the results you are going to get like at the end of the day, right? So that's like the cocoa. So what's going to happen now is that we're going to build a simple, let's say a shopping page. Yeah, let's say let's say we want to build an e-commerce page whereby users can come, see different images, see different things that we have for sale, and then they try to purchase. If possible, they can click a button that says purchase or add to carts, like that, using Flexbox. Um, but first, let me check out these Flex items. Okay, so this one is the styling for the items themselves, right? You see, you can use Flex Grow to make it grow. Maybe one should be bigger than the others. You can use Flex Shrink to shrink, uh, like that. You can change the basis, etc, right? So you can align. So this is like, let's say you have all the items have different heights. So you can align self, that is this particular one, to take the exact height as the others. Or you can choose to, if all of them are in this same height, you can choose to align these maybe to come back to flex end. Maybe you want this at the bottom like this. It depending on how you want to display this, right? So we'll all try this out. And then let's see the flex responsiveness, right? So a responsive flex box and then how to work with media queries. Yeah, I think you have to start trying these yourselves where you start building responsive website. I think the assignment that was given to you last time was on responsive websites, right? Okay. Yeah, just confirm to me that you guys have tried building a responsive website before. Okay, nice, nice. So, Godfrey, what do you have to say? So now, before we get into building the website, let's take questions and then let's take confusions, if any. Let's try to fix them out. What do you think about Flexbox? Is it way easier, way better? Just let me know, and then we proceed in building the e-commerce that we decided to. So just let me know, guys. The floor is yours. It seems we are enjoying Flexbox and nobody has any question. Nice, 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 nice. Uh, so let's get into building, right? Let's get into building. Let's get into building. So let me just try to fix some things here in the CSS, and then we'll use this same file and then this same card, and then know how to make it better. So let's work with this. So body, I want to start a body. Then yep. So I just took out the padding and margin to make it completely 0. And then inside each of these boxes, we are going to fix images. Yeah, does anyone have a question? Please, the sub mentor can just call me out because I'm on a different page so that I will know if somebody has anything to say or ask. So first of all, I'm going to build a nav bar here. So I'll use a nav this time around to do this. And then I'll try to style it. So in the nav, we're going to have 3 items. So all of them are going to be divs, or let's say just 2. So this is a div, and then this is a div. So the first div has a H4, which is the logo. So let's call this Phytech store, Phytech online store. Right? And then this is gonna have a button that says checkout. So anything you finish buying, you check them out here. Okay, so first off, what I'm gonna do is that this nav bar, I'm gonna style it, and then I'll give it an ID of nav bar, and then I'm gonna style it and say hashtag nav bar. So I want to make this a flex container. I'm gonna give this a display of flex. You know how we do it, and then I'm going to give it a padding of 5px. So yep, and then let's say a background color of white. Yep. Let's check this out. Let's see what it looks like. Okay, nice. So this has taken effect already. And then what will happen is I take this height out, and then I give this height to the body. So the body takes the height of 100 pH. Awesome. And then, so let's give this navbar a height of 20% of the web page, and then we'll give the flex container a height of the remaining 80% of the web page. And let's see. Awesome. But 20% is too much for the nav bar, so I'll just give it 15, and then I give this guy 85. So let's have a look again. Is this okay? No, I don't think this is still fine for me for the nav bar. I'll make the nav bar 10%. Then I make this 90%. Nice. So this is good to go, right? So we have the page to ourselves where we have this and then this button, right? So first and foremost is the nav bar I want to style, and then I give it a display of flex, right? Now have a look. If I align items, notice this now. This, can you see how these guys are aligning? So let me try to align both of them now. So I can use align items and say center. Can you see? Now both of them are in the same line. They are both aligned equally. So next up now, I'm going to use justified content to justify two of them differently, right? So I'll just say justified content space between. So I want two of them to be on the different end of the navbar. So can you see? We have file tag here, and then we have this button here. So let me just try to style this button to make it look better. So I'm going to use navbar, like I told you, combinator selector is what I'm going to work with, so that my CSS is going to be easily readable by other guys. So I'll say navbar, and then I'll point to the button. I'll point to the div inside the navbar, and then point to the button inside the div. Sounds funny, but then I try to style this and see. So I'll give this a padding of 4 or 3px, and then give it a background color of orange. So today I just want to use orange, right? So that my website is Jumia orange color. Yeah, I think so. And then I'm going to give the text okay. I'm going to give it a color of white, and then font width of bold. Better, but then this still looks ugly. Let's see, how can I make this better? Yeah, much more better. And then I say border radius, and then I'll just say, let's say 10%. And then I take a border out of it, and then I'll say border none. Better, right? How does this look? So I can just say cursor pointer, and then based on the box shadow I explained the last time, I can just use box shadow to make this much more better, right? So I can just say box shadow. I think how to restyle it the last time. So let's say 2px, 2px, and then let's give it, let's say, a green color. Yeah. So this makes a little bit of sense, right? I like this. I like the way this place is looking. So I can just increase this, say, for 4px. Nice. So you see how my checkout button is looking. It's still ugly, but I like it. So let's not make this white. This looks too whitish. Let's make this. Oh, we can just work with the whites, right? So let's style this H4. So I do the same thing here, but this time around I'm styling the H4 inside of the div instead of the button. I just say H4, and then I give it a color of green. I want this to be green color, and then let's give it a text shadow. So this time around in the text shadow, we are going to put in the orange, right? So let's say 2px orange. Let's try this. Nice. So oh, it's still this ugly. I don't like that. So let me just try to increase the font size. Oh no. So let's use 25px. I hope this is not too big. Yeah, but much more better, right? Yeah. So instead of making this green, let's orange, let's make this, let's say, let's use green and green color. I don't know how to do this. Which color would be best to use? So let's use gray here. And then let's use green here. And then let's turn this to, let's say 11px each. I don't want this to be so obvious. Yeah, looks better. I think I like this one. Okay. So we are done with the navbar. We also use flex container for the navbar. As you can see, we set a padding, then we align the contents to center, and then we justify the content space between. That's how we're able to achieve this navbar to look like this. Right? So the next step, we go inside the main container and then try to display the whole things, right? So let's say in the main container, yeah, is anyone saying anything? So let me start with this. Let me just style one and then duplicate it into plenty. So how I want this to work, the box is going to have like a width of 10%, or let me make it 20. And then it's going to have a height of 200px. And then in the box, there's going to be an image that says item, if it's alt, and then I'm going to have a button in this box. And then this button will be add to cart, right? Add to cart. So let's have a look at how this looks like. Yeah, so this is just one of the items we have in it. And then there's an item and then a button that says add to cart. So I can also choose to make this item a flex box. Yeah, so that's exactly what's going to happen. I want to make this box a flex box. So I'm going to say display and then make it flex and then change the flex direction and then make it column, simply because I want these two items to stack on each other. So as you can see this time around, this is the add item and then this is the image, right? So let's give this a padding of 5px or 10px. Let's see, better. And then let's fix this button properly. The button inside the box. So we can just say box, and then add this and say button. And then let's style the button. Let's give it a padding of 2px or 4px. Let's give it a color of blue. Let's see. Okay, no, the color is the color of the text. What color do we give? Let's go back. Let's say background color. Blue. Looks too. Okay, now let me just try to reduce the blue. and then make this blue look friendly. Yeah, more of it. So let's say the text size or the font size is white. Yeah, no. Uh, the font width is bold, and then the color is white. Yeah, better. So let's work with this. Let's give it a border of none. Let's hit that border, the default border that it comes with. So this is a border of none, and then let's try to reduce the width, the length. So we can just give it a width of, let's say, 50 cent. Better. Awesome. And then let's set the cursor to pointer, so that when a user comes, he knows that this is a button, just like this, right? Next up, let's take off so let's head over. I just want to take off this border and then give it a box shadow, but that will not be necessary now. All I just have to do is just set up the image, right? So let's look for images online. Let's say images for e-commerce app. Oh, I don't know if that's how e-commerce is spelled, but yep. So let's check out these guys. So what image is going to be best? We take out. Oh, let's work with this guy. So we can download this guy for free. I think so. Okay. So let's say image one. Let's save this guy. So this guy is currently saved in our file. If I come here, I can see it. As you can see, image one. So in the next class, we'll teach you how to structure your web page properly, right? Where you put all your images in assets, you put your HTML in HTML file in the HTML folder, you put your CSS in the CSS folder, or you can choose to group all your different pages and put the HTML and CSS in one folder. And then, so it just depends how you want to do this. So let me just copy the path, copy the relative path to this, and then I go to either this one, and then I paste it. So let's see what this will look like. All right, nice. So we have the image in there, and then let's style the image, right? So we're going to use box, and then we'll say the image inside the box is what we want to style. And then we're going to give it a width of 100%, and then a height of 90%. Yeah, makes sense. So can you see how my image is being aligned inside now? It looks proper, right? So but this image is stretching. I think there's a way we can make this look better. So let me just try something out. So instead of having add to cart here, we're going to have the price and add to cart. I think that's better. So what's going to happen is that we're going to have another different div here, and then add this button inside of the div, and then we paste it, and then we add a small tag to give it a price. So let's work with dollars. Let's say this is $5.00. So let's try to style the div inside of the box. Yep. So I just come here and I say box, and then add the div inside, and then I will just give it a display. So first and foremost, let's have a look at see how this looks like, right? On the floor, it looks this way. But let's give it a display of flex. and then have a look. Okay, so flex, let's align the items to the center. As you can see, it's all at the center. And then let's justify the content between. Yep. So we have the price here, and then we have this here. So let's try to change the color of the price. So that's the box of the div that has the small in it. And then let's make the color to be red. Yep. And then I don't know why this style has been overridden, but let me try to fix that. What's happening? Oh. That's because now there's a div and then the button is inside the div. So let's fix this. Let's say div and then the button is in it. Yep. So it has taken a style back, right? And then we're good to go. How does this look? Yo, I can't. Let me go back to the chart. At least it still looks ugly, right? But we're just trying to make this better and try to style it more properly, right? Awesome. Awesome. So let's go back here. And then we fix this too. So let me just try to give a margin top so that this one is going to have a bit of space between the two, right? Or now let me show you the power of Flexbox. Since I gave this 90, and then I think I gave the other div a height of 10. Where is it? So what will happen is I will give this image a height of 80. Yes. And then I will give the other div, which is this guy, a height of 15. Yeah, so as you can see, this is how it looks like, right? And then I can choose to give it a space. I can choose to give space between both of them, right? So that the remaining 5% is going to be allocated a space. So I can just go to this box and then I'll say align items. Okay, no, align content. Then I'll say space between. Let's see. Oh, oh. So the space between is not that significant. Probably that's why this is not showing, right? So successfully now we have one of our boxes. So this is a shopping cart. So let me just try to duplicate this for like a whole lot of times. And so this box, let's make this box about, let's say, 5 of them. And then let's see. So, okay, our website is coming together. And then let's try to fix this more properly. So maybe let's use different images, style this, and then you see. So you see how, with Flexbox, you see how this is easily arranged. This is easily aligned. It looks not so beautiful, but at least it looks organized, right? And that's what's important. So let's try to set now this box. I don't like this border. Where is it? So let me take out the border in the box because it's no longer needed. And then I just want to leave this plain. But I would like to give it a shadow. So let's say box shadow. No, I wouldn't even want to give it a shadow. Let's just leave it plain like this. I prefer it this way. And then the container, let's start styling this container now. So we can just say align item space between. So you see, it's giving a space between the items. And then I can just say justify contents. space between. So let's see. How does this looks? So you see with Flexbox, you see the way I just play with this, joke with this, and then make this look as simple as it's gonna be, right? But if it was floats, I had to like set a size, give it a position, and then it was even aching my head the last time we had class, right? And then I didn't like it. So I chose to work with Flexbox and to achieve this more better and properly. So let's see how we can still make this look better. And then I don't like the padding of 5px. Let's make it a padding of 20px. Better, 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 better. All right. So that's it for Flexbox. So if there's anything you don't understand, just let me know currently. I don't want to hear no questions because I want to take your questions now. There must be a confusion somewhere. So anybody should let me know. If you're far behind, tell me. Maybe you don't know the reasons why we are using Flexbox. I can still explain for you because we have like a lot of time, right? So let's just try to trash this out. So if from the look of things, I think today we might still try out Grid because Flexbox is, we achieve Flexbox really fast, right? Also, Rufa is asking for attendance form. I don't think this guy is here yet, the sub mentor. All right, so let's have room for Grid. Or we'll try out animation. Yeah, better. So yeah, we'll try out animation. So let's give some interactiveness to this page and then see how it looks. Hello guys. Yep. So let's get your question.
Good morning, everyone. So, thank you for this opportunity given to us to use Flexbox. It is much more easier than Float, but I have little concern about the properties used for the Flex container and then the properties used for the items. So, if you can just to highlight, not in practical terms, just highlight the properties used for the items and that for the properties so that we will not use them interchangeably when building website. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, awesome. Makes sense. Great question. So I think this guy was already explaining them to us. Let's check this guy again. So now when you go to this, you see it will tell you the items need or the properties needed in the Flex container, and then it highlights them here. So the Flex container has Flex direction, Flex wrap, Flex flow, justify content, justify items, align content. But then the item itself has this guy, has order, the order in which you want to arrange them, Flex grow, Flex shrink, Flex basis, Flex align self. So I want you guys, so this order is going to determine how the order of the elements are going to be. So we can choose to maybe scatter the order and say this should come first, second, this should come fourth, second, first, third. Depending on this, you just use this order to arrange them, right? Grow, you can choose to make one grow, shrink, like that. So I would advise you just make use of these guys. So for the items, based on your questions, these are the elements, these are the properties for items, and then these are the properties for the container. Hope that's good to go. Awesome. So does anyone still have any confusion? So I fixed that and then we continue moving. Yeah, Rufai, shoot.
Yeah, good morning. Actually, the question I want to ask is not regarding to Flexbox. I don't know whether I can go on.
Yeah, shoot, if it's not far-fetched from the class.
So what happened is while studying, I noticed when you go to a web page, maybe the home page, when you right click, you can inspect or you can view source code. In the sense that you can even copy the code and maybe do some editing. So while doing some editing, my question is that will it affect the original web page when you go back to the website?
Yeah, Rufai. This is a very good question. So I will give a practical example with that in this class, and then we can just try it out now. Let's see. So we'll go to a web page and then try to inspect it. And then after we inspect it, I will just try to change a particular element from the source code, and then we can all go back to see it, right? So which web page do I work with now? I want a very simple web page. Uh, let's say let's try Jumia. No, but Jumia looks complex. I just want something. Like this has like a lot of stuff, and then I might hardly try to change something. Let's look for another. Okay, let's go to that Facebook page. Yes. Yeah, and then maybe change this right thing here to something. So what Rufa is saying is you just go here and then click on inspect, right? And then like this is like the whole source code of what we are working with, right? So with this, I know that nice, nice. So now I can edit this. I think there's a way this is done. So I just if I want to edit this element, I just right click it and click edit as HTML, right? And then I can fix this. I can change this and say FiTech community helps you connect and share with people, not Facebook. So I take the Facebook out and put FiTech inside. So can you see this guy here changed? It changed to FiTech instead of Facebook, simply because you can only edit it inside of this source file. But if I go back now what will happen is if I refresh this, let's see what will happen. If I refresh, it goes back to Facebook. This takes its initial stage, right? Simply because the source code, the main source code of this app that is being deployed online doesn't live within our local file. So no matter what editing or what changes we do is for just our own self and just within our laptop and within our computer. It's not going to take like a general effect. And if you happen to refresh the page, it goes back to its original state. So that's like a good observation, right? You can always go inspect the source page, see how they did their work, maybe copy some few stuff, edit it to your own taste, and then make it look better. So good one, Rufai. Are we clear on that? Nice. Uh, any other person? All right. There are no questions today. I'm very sure all of you can't wait to leave this class and go and start using Flexbox. I understand you guys, right? That's like the first thing that came to my mind when I was being taught Flexbox. I was like, what? So I've been wasting my time using floats, and then float was killing me. It normally doesn't align, and then there's something as simple as this. So as a front-end developer, every day of your life, you work with this. Trust me, every day. Every front-end developer is using Flexbox every day, except it's not front-end that the person is doing. Yeah, Ruben. So can you work with Flexbox in the same project? Can you come again? Can you work with both Flexbox and in the same project? I mean, yeah, yeah. We can all work with them in the same project, right? You are free. Anything you want to use. If you know how to use anyone better. Can work with you on the same projects. So let's head over to animation. Let's try some animations out, and then probably if we do animations and everything goes well, by the end of the class, we are going to maybe end of the class with introduction to CSS Grid, and then you guys will go home, try building a responsive website using Flexbox, Grid, use some animation. That means from the next class, from the next assignment, your website should start looking professional. Your picture should looking sweet. Don't settle for the bare minimum, right? Don't just take out like a simple design and try to do it. No, look for the hardest designs and do them, because that's where you learn from. You might not achieve it, but you see that in the process of doing a hard design, you have come across like thousands of CSS or hundreds of CSS properties, and then you have used like a bunch of them. And with that, you can be able to anytime you have something simple to build or something to build at all, you already know which this thing to use, because you can. And then you can be able to achieve them, right? So basically that's it for now. So let's see how we can make this look better. Maybe when a user comes to our web page and then he hovers around this, maybe let's do some small animation so that the user will know that he is currently hovering across these elements, and then he can add it to carts. Maybe when a user hovers here, we can just make this maybe increase in size, or maybe decrease, or maybe spin up a little, different stuffs, right? So we can just try this out and then see how it goes. So I don't want to use space between in this container element. I just noticed something that this space is too wide. So what will just happen here is I'll use space around. Okay. Yeah, so this looks better to me. Okay, so let's try using animations now and see how animation work. Let's go back to W3 schools, Flexbox. So I would advise you guys to check media queries, check all these guys, right? CSS variables, learn all these things yourselves, right? So I think this is where animation comes in, where we do 2D transforms, text effects. Okay, so this is a CSS animation. Awesome. Okay, but we can try transform first and see how they work. So with transform, we can be able to use, I think even in animation, we work with transforms, right? And the rest. So let's just have a overview of how these guys work, and then we try using animation to achieve them, right? So CSS 2D transform. The CSS 2D transform allows you to move, rotate, scale, and skew elements. So that's what they do. You can move an element with transform, you can rotate it, you can scale it, you can skew it. So mouse over the element below to see a 2D transformation. So can you see? So in this chapter, we'll learn about following CSS property. Browser support. So these are the browsers that currently support transform, CSS transforms. And then these are the 2D transform method. So if you want to transform an element, you can either translate it, rotate, scale X, scale Y, or skew X, skew Y, the matrix, etc., right? So we'll also learn about 3D transforms in the next chapter, but let's check out this translate method. So the translate method moves an element from its current position according to the parameter given for the x and y axis. The following moves the div element 50 pixels to the right and 100 pixels down. So let's try to do this for the boxes. So let's go to the box. Let's go to the box itself. Yeah, this guy. But the problem is that it's going to be doing it for all. That's the problem. But let's try to translate. And then when translating, or sorry, transform. So let's transform. So the property is transform, and then the values is translate. So we're translating, and then we say 50px, 100px. So let's try to make ours maybe 20px, then 50px, and then see how it changes. So I think this is just distorting like the whole thing, right? Okay, I was doing this for the image. Oh, my bad. So let me just cut this out and then put this inside of the box. Yeah, but this will do it for all the boxes. So can you see their location changed? They translated like how many this, right? So the next one is rotates. So I can rotate. I think rotating works with degrees, right? Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, rotating works with degrees. Yeah. So this is 20 degrees. So I can just say like 20 deg. And then let's see if it will rotate 20 degrees. So can I see all the boxes rotated 20 degrees, right? So this is, if you want to like do some special styling, you can just do them here. But most of these transformations are done inside of animations, right? So that until when something is triggered before this is going to work out, right? Or if you still want to style your web page and then probably you want to arrange the images to look like this, you can still do it this way, right? Depends on you and your users, or what your users want. So I can also rotate like 50 degrees. Can you see? I can rotate like 100 degrees. That will like completely rotate like the whole thing. Or let's say 200 degrees would rotate it
Sorry,
fully.
sir, your screen is no longer presenting.
Oh, that's serious. Yeah, it is. I think the problem is your network. You can see my screen, just specify. Awesome. So the guy that is complaining, I think you just leave the call and come back, and then you can be able to see my screen. So if you are good with maths, you know that 180 degrees is like the complete overhead, right? And then 360 degrees will return it back to its former state. So this 180 is turning it like completely upside down, right? And then if I make this 240, this will take this like to the west or so, yeah. Or 270. Yes, so this takes it this way. So it totally depends how you want to rotate your elements. And then the next one is scale. So I can choose to scale it. So I think scale makes it bigger. Let's see how it works in CSS Web3 schools. So yeah, so let's try to scale it. So I think scaling makes it bigger. Yes. So let's use 2 and 3 here, just like how they did on their end. And then let's see how our web page looks like. Good. So it has been scaled. Can you see that on the x-axis it has been scaled twice, on the y-axis it has been scaled like 3 times. So let's make this like 0.5 and 0.5. So on both axes it should scale. Okay, now just make this smaller. Interesting. Yep. So let's make this 1. I think 1 is going to like maintain the state. Good. 1 maintain the state. Okay, cool. So we understand how it works now. So 2 is going to make it bigger on the y-axis. So can you see on this horizontal axis, it is times 2 of the length that it was before, right? And then if I want this to be bigger on the x-axis, I just make this 2. So this is going to be 2 times bigger on the x-axis and also on the y-axis. I can set this back to 1, and then it's going to just bigger on the x-axis. So you see how scale works, right? So I just leave this guy. So I still go back to transform and then try out another new one. So scale X, I can choose to scale only the X axis and scale only the Y axis, right? Just inputting only one element. So I can skew it. So let's skew like 20 degrees. Let's see how skewing works. I've completely forgot. So skew 20 degrees. Okay, so this is how skewing looks like. Interesting. So we can also skew like 200 degrees. Yeah, you see. Right. So it totally depends on you and what you want to work with. So let's check the next. So you can also skew X, skew Y, and then the metrics. You can choose to fix the metrics. So what will happen here is I just copy this. Yes. And then let's see what the output of that matrix is going to look like. Paste it here. Okay. So we've seen the final results. We have rested. Right. So that's how transform works. And then those are the different elements you can add onto it. So let's try to do like 3D transform. So how does 3D transform works? So 3D transform, let's see. Rotating. Okay, nice. Wow. Awesome. So basically that's that. But to understand how this works better, let's move to transitions and then let's do the animation. So animation is like a combination of transform, transitions, and then you put them inside of the particular animation you created. And then based on a particular animation class, a transformation is being done, or yeah, or a transition is being done. So the CSS transition allows you to change property values smoothly over a given period. Nice. So you can change the property, or you can rotate a property over a given period. In this chapter, we'll learn about the following properties: transition, transition delay, transition duration, transition property, transition timing function. Right? So how to use transition. To create a transition effect, you must first specify two things: the CSS property you want to add the effect to, and then the duration of the effect. Very important. So first, the property you want to add it to, and then the duration. So let's see how they do that here. So let's say they want to transform the width in 2 seconds. So the transition is going to transition the width in 2 seconds. And then they gave this a div of hover, and then they said in 300 in 2 seconds. This, if this div is being hovered on, it should change the width to 300 px within 2 seconds, right? So let's try to do this. So we're going to work with this for the box also, and then we're going to set a transition for the box. So let's say transition. What do we set first? We set the width. Okay, is the width that we want to change. So let's say the width, and then want to do it in 2 seconds, right? Yeah. So let's try to do a hover effect for this box. So to do a hover effect for the box, we copy the box, and then we say we add this and say hover. That was happening. Yep. Okay. So I'm used to writing Cairo, so I'm using like this, the two of these to like highlight them, right? So the width of this box is 20%, but I want, if it is being hovered on, I want to change the width to 40%. So that should be like 2x, right? So I just come over here, and then you can see these boxes. Now watch out. If I hover over this box, it's going to go, the width will be 2 times bigger. So let's try this. You see, it does it within 2 seconds. So if I just hover and then come out, 2 seconds. Can you see? So any one of them. This is how it works. So this CSS like bringing some interactions, interactivity to the website. can just choose to always go around this. So if you design it for the first time, you find yourself playing around it, right? This is like you. All right. So let's say I just want to make this like 25%, and it should do that within like 10 seconds. So it should take longer. So when I do this way, can you see? If I hover, it's gradually getting bigger because it wants to get to like how many percent in 10 seconds. So it do that gradually until it achieves 10 seconds, right? So it also goes back to state in 10 seconds. I can also make this maybe like 100 milliseconds. That means I want this to happen like real fast. So you see, like this happening like very fast. So this is just if the user, maybe the user wants to come here, he does this here, he knows that he's here currently. Like that, like that, like that, like that, like that. So that's how Flexbox works. And with animation, you can be able to make things easier, more beautiful, make more sense. Yeah. So this is it for now. And then we've tried on transformation, transition. So lastly, let's go to animation. Or I'm going to pause here to take questions before I go to animation. So animation will try to like walk around the two. So time for questions, please. It's like you guys are enjoying today's class, and I'm the one that is not enjoying it, right? Because I'm talking and then no one is talking, and I don't like that. I want other people to do the talking, not just me myself talk 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 talk. It's boring because the truth is, immediately after this class, I will be joining another class, and that's me talking again for another 3 hours. So why can't you guys help reduce this for me? So instead of me talking 3 hours for this class, I talk 2 hours, and then you guys talk for the remaining 1 hour. So that if I go for the next class, I will have energy, right? So what do you guys think so far? What do you think about Flexbox? So let me give you guys this time now. So what do you think about Flexbox? So turn on your mic, discuss with me, and then let me know. Yeah, a
Um,
lot of them you can
Good day,
proceed
sir.
now.
Good day, sir.
Yo, what's up, bro?
Yeah, I'm doing good, sir.
Nice.
Sir, I want to ask, what is the difference between transition and animation? Because I see that transition on its own is already giving an animation vibes already.
Yeah. So we use the transitions inside of the animations, right? So the animation is maybe you can set a particular type of animation, and then you can set like different transitions property inside of that animation. And then
Okay.
it's not just the element doing just one thing, maybe changing the scale, changing the width. No, this time around, maybe when you click on it, it does like plenty things. It might add the size, it might rotate, it might move from here to here. That's animation for you, right? So we'll try out
Okay,
an
sir.
and we'll see properly how the differences are.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Awesome. Yeah,
Yes,
shoots.
sir.
Who's next? So you guys are not speaking. I need to know. I need to know. I need to know.
Yes, sir. Our experience with Flexbox is really exciting. I think it will help us save time when we are building, and then precision and so much more. It just have advantage over float for now because those are the two that we've learned so far. So I can say Flexbox is flexible. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Nice. Who's next? Kaibat, say something.
Good morning. Hello, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah, good morning, Tybert. We can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Yeah, the guy that just finished talking spoke my mind. Is Flexbox is actually very flexible and it looks very easy to use compared to floats, and I think it's going to make the work more easier.
So are you sure you spoke your mind? Are you guys living in the same house? Okay, David, you are laughing. Let's hear from you, David. What do you think?
Okay, yeah, boss. I think like he said also, Flexbox is more flexible than Float. So
See, if you guys learn Flexbox, right, I will tell you for free, you can be called front-end developers. Because like I said, every day of your life, you are going to be working with it every day. Okay, Olorufemi, let's hear. After you, Chuku Obed.
It's I actually I'm happy that you're saying you're making use of Flexbox, because that float, I was up until 2 o'clock this morning with float before I could get some of the things there. I said the phone was still ugly. So I think I prefer the float. I prefer the flex to the floats.
Yeah, that's true, right? So that's the reason why we teach you guys float first, because we want you guys to suffer. And then after you suffer, you understand all the inefficiencies that floats have, then it's going to be easy for you to use um, um what's it called? Flex. So when you see Flex, you are going to appreciate Flex, right? Because it looks like a lot of load. And then trust me, if I introduce Grid, you will now realize that hey, Flexbox is much more harder, right? So that's how it works. Makes sense. It's good to know that you have been using floats and then you have hit your head on the wall, right, with floats. So that means you understand a lot of things about floats. So now when giving a website, if it's going to take you like 2 hours to build it with floats, with Flexbox, I bet you do that in 45 minutes, because this time around you do things faster, easier, align your contents much better. So from henceforth, I'm expecting that your websites are going to be as beautiful as possible. I'm not going to take any crappy or shitty website again. This is like your last assignment was like, from every website you build now, it should look professional. It should look as if it's a professional doing it, because you have currently learned the tool that every professional is working with, right? So the structure of your page, the design, I don't want to see maybe this part is looking the size is not correct. It doesn't even align properly with the button. The image is one kind. It doesn't sit well with the button underneath it or the text around it. Everything should be professional from henceforth. So while checking your assignment, trust me, I'm no longer settling for less. If you are giving something that doesn't make sense, it's going to be a 0, right? Yeah, I'm telling you this for free so that you know that you have to up your game. I'm expecting to see very beautiful and professional websites from henceforth. Yeah, Tybert, I said that. So who else? Who else hasn't spoken? So you guys speak. Hey, Caleb, I haven't heard you today. Yeah. Okay, Chuku Obed first before Caleb. Awesome.
Morning, sir.
Good morning.
From my own point of view, I think Flexbox is a kind of it gives you more control over the float we taught the last class. So a kind of, if you want to build something or a layout that you need equal column and equal row, Flexbox does it better. Like the project you gave us on float, like I tried my best because I haven't used float before, and kind of the responsiveness was very very awful. Like it's very very hard, like for me to even get it to look that ugly, because it was ugly. So but with the Flexbox, it just makes it easy. It just, even if you don't know any other things to apply, you can just be using flex direction column or flex direction load to make it much more responsible. So I think it's very more advanced, and to give you control over the item or the children of the parents you want to style.
Nice, nice. So the cheat code here is if you know how to use Flex, you know how to align, you know how to justify the content, set the direction, I bet you are good to go, right? To build websites is going to be like very easy for you. And then you can have a flex box, it's another flex box, it's another flex box. So to make them flexible is going to be like very, very easy. And then the alignment looks much more better, right? So it makes sense. I'm glad that you guys are understanding the concept, and then I'm bullish about seeing your works from henceforth. Like I told you guys, I'm not settling for less, right? All right, so Caleb, let's hear from you.
From my side, with the Flexbox, it's just as you said earlier. I have according a person is coding, you must be much more with mathematics. So I think the Flexbox I might use, but it needs a lot of measurements to put in place. Yeah, thanks.
Awesome. So you see, for those of you that hate mathematics, Caleb, I hope you don't hate maths.
I don't hate it, but I told myself, I told my level best.
So in floats, you have to be doing like the maths, right? To say, hey, this takes 30%. Let me share the remaining percentage to get it to the middle. This takes 20 px. How many px does it take to put this in the middle or take this to the left? Flexbox relieves you with all that. It just tells you, hey, put the direction. Where do you want me to place this for you? I don't care if you know maths or not, right? Awesome. So I think Rufai was raising his hand. So let's head.
Yes, sir. I said after learning this, Flexbox, you just start sending applications and apply for jobs.
So from today, your assignments are going to be complex questions. It's not going to be a form or once. No. You guys are going to be building like a big website now, because you have the power and you have what it takes to arrange everything properly, right? So let's hear from like 3 more people, then we go to animation. Try some animation today. I think your next assignment too is going to take animation. So after we try animation, then we might just end the class with CSS Grid, and that will be bye-bye to CSS. And then I will allow you guys to do a bunch of stuffs. So your assignments this weekend is going to be very, very like bloody, right? Sorry for using that word, but your assignment this week is going to be like a lot of stuffs. So I want you guys to build websites, like real websites, with the energy you have now. After building those websites, because from next class we might not be using CSS. Now it depends on the website that you guys build. I can't give you a website and then you build an ugly website and then you decide you expect me to teach you guys Tailwind CSS. No. The assignments I give you, you guys have to join hands together or do it individually. Bring out the best out of it, because if it doesn't make sense, trust me, we'll have to repeat CSS again. Do we agree?
Yes, we agree with you.
Okay, because
Right.
why I'm saying this is simply because Tailwind CSS is a framework, and then it's very easy to use if you understand how to use the classes. But you cannot effectively use Tailwind CSS if you do not know how to use stuffs like the normal CSS itself. So from the website you are going to design, you are going to prove to me that I know how to build this. I know how to build this with normal CSS. So I'm good to go now. I'm ready to do the simpler stuff. Because in coding is you learning the harder things first, right? But trust me, these are not the harder things. These are the easier ones. But in everything you learn first, they introduce you to the harder concepts. The languages you're learning now are easy, but then they teach you the harder concept first before they go to the easier concept. And likewise, any other programming language you go into, maybe like JavaScript, you do the harder things first before next they teach you, wait, okay, learn React. And then it's much more easier. But without you knowing the basic and the harder stuff, you cannot be able to do the other things, right? So Ahmad, I haven't heard from you. Fatima, I haven't heard from you. Maduna, I haven't heard from you. Yeah, so you guys should speak. Rachel too. Rachel is hiding. She think I won't see her. So say something. Eliza Musa too. You guys should speak before I proceed. I have to know how you guys think about this because it's based on your Flexbox that your assignment is going to be. So everybody should understand this so that next class, if I see your assignment, I justify that we can move on. We proceed. If not, if you guys don't ask your question now and then I give you the assignment and you fumble, trust me, in the next class, we are going to repeat this over again. And that's like a waste of time for us, right? And we really don't want that. So everybody should try to clear himself now so that I can be able to move forward. The last class, the last two classes, you said I'm moving too fast. I don't want to move too fast. Right? So questions. What's Ahmed saying? Ahmed can speak. Let's read. Okay, so okay. Ahmad is his sub mentor. Yeah, Fatima, I'm going to give you a website to replicate. Yep. A harder website, Seth. A website that a professional builds. So because now I treat you guys as professionals. So any website I'm going to give you is going to be professional website. And trust me, I will make sure that this week's website, this week's assignment, I will be the one to give it out, right? I will make sure that happens. Okay. Fatima, say something. Fatima, speak. Let's proceed.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
I don't really have anything to say, but I'm really enjoying this class. It's really exciting.
Oh, nice. It's good to know that it's exciting, right?
Yeah.
But I give you guys assignment and you can't do it. That's where it's not going to get exciting again.
Which assignments? The last assignment?
No. I'm going to be giving a harder assignment this time around.
Oh, okay. We'll surprise you.
Awesome. That's what I want. Surprise. If you don't surprise me, I'll surprise you. Who next? I don't want to proceed without having everyone clear. Chuku Obed, you didn't say anything. You're just giving me emojis.
I've spoken.
Okay, how about Eliza? Eliza didn't say anything. Let's hear from him.
Eliza is also a sub mentor.
Oh, permit me, man. Ha! I'm so sorry. I don't know all my sub mentors. I think their names on your names on WhatsApp is completely different from your names on Twitter. I say Twitter on what's it called? On emails. So I can't tend to but don't worry, Sha. Now I know all of you. Thank you very much. Okay, Ebube is laughing. Let's catch Ebube now before we proceed. I know why I'm taking my time. I have introduced the hardest concept. So the other ones are very easy to introduce, right? And then we don't want to be very, very ahead of the evening class, guys. So that's why we're taking it bit by bit. But I bet you with what you know currently, the sub mentors are going to, they are going to testify that this is what you guys are going to be using over and over again. Right?
Yeah, Eliza, you can tell them. As a front-end developer, Eliza, I know every day you work with CSS Flexbox. True or yes? Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's
I just did some minutes ago.
Hector, you see, right? Just some minutes ago, he made use of Flexbox. And then I can assure you that the next minute is also going to make use of Flexbox. So just once you understand this concept, you are already a good developer, right? So the websites we are going to give you, I assure you, I want to see professional stuff. Professional, I repeat. Okay. So let's go to animations now, since nobody wants to tell me anything again. Okay, now they're already giving us an example. So animation allows CSS allow animation of HTML elements without using JavaScript. So most of the times, while introducing the first class, we told you guys that JavaScript is for interaction, right? Rufa, I think you have sent the form. We told you guys JavaScript is used to manipulate the HTML elements, blah blah blah. But then CSS animation can do like some of those stuff, right? But it can't do what JavaScript can do, right? But it can do some manipulation to the HTML page. So in this chapter, we'll learn about the following properties: keyframes, animation name, animation duration, animation delay, the iteration count, the animation direction, the timing function, the fill mode, and then the animation itself. So these are the current browsers that support animation. And then what are CSS animation? So an animation lets an element gradually change from one style to another. You can change as many CSS properties as you want, as many times as you want. To use CSS animation, you must first specify some keyframes for the animation. The keyframes hold what style the elements will have at certain times, right? So we are going to specify keyframes. So you see what the keyframes are. Keyframes determine what style we want at a particular time. So the animation has a duration. So if the animation is going to take like 10 seconds, 20 seconds, okay, in the next first 5 seconds, what do we want this element to look like? In the next 2 seconds, what do we want this to look like? Down to the 10 seconds, right? And then the iteration, how many times do you want this to run? If you want, take for example, the border to change from red to green to blue within 10 seconds, and then, so how many times? As soon as it changes from red to green to blue, do you want it to stop? Or do you want it to keep running, to keep rotating, right? So you can see a simple way of giving a keyframe. So this is a keyframe. So keyframe example, it changes from red. So you see from background color red to background color yellow, right? This is how you specify a keyframe. And then this is how you do the animation inside of the element you want to work with. You set the animation name. So the animation name is going to be set based on the keyframe. So you see the keyframe is example. So the animation name, we made it example. And then the duration, we said it should last for 4 seconds, meaning changing the background color from red to yellow should take 4 seconds, right? Almost like same thing with transition, but this time around we can do with plenty elements, just like how I told you guys. So note, the animation duration property defines how long an animation should take to complete. If the animation duration property is not specified, no animation will occur because the default value is 0. So if I create a keyframe and then I set all the animation elements, and then at the end of the day, I set the animation name here, and I did not give it a duration to work, the animation is not going to work. So I'm saying this simply because some of you might try to go and do animation and it's not working, and then you be my DM and say, so it's not working, or you come to class and say, I'm doing this thing, I've watched videos and it's not working. So just know that the default is 0 for the duration. So if you don't set the duration, a simple problem why your animation might not work is simply because you did not set the duration. So let's put that in mind, right? So the duration is depending anything you put, 4 seconds, 1 minute, 2 years, anyhow you do it, right? So it's also possible to use percent. By using percent, you can add as many style changes as you like. Okay. So let me read this. In the example above, we have specified when a style will change by using the keyword from to. Start and then complete. So they use the keyword from and to here, but then they're telling us that we can use percentages. So let's say it's going to take this 4 seconds to complete. We can give a percentage and maybe say, okay, when this animation is at 25%, change the background color to red. When it's at 50%, change the background color to yellow. When it's at 75%, change the background color to green. When it's at 100%, change the background color to orange, right? So the following example will change the background color of the div example, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so you see how they did it here. Instead of using from and to, they say 0, 25, 50, 100, and then they set the background color, right? So they did this. So this is like going to be like our first animation that we'll try out. So this is them. This is also an animation code using multiple elements. So multiple properties, right? So at 100%, at 0%, it is red color. The left is 0, the top is 0. At 25%, it is yellow color, and then it is 25 px to the left and 0 px to the right, to the top. Like that, like that, like that. Down to 100%, where it is red color, and then the left is 0, 0. So at the end of the day, when it's 100%, they are just resetting it back to 0%, right? So the element to apply the animation to. So this is the element you do. So first and foremost, let's apply the keyframe and then the delay. So before we set up a delay, let's try to do this minimalistic this view. So let's go back to our CSS file and then let's set up a keyframe. So to set up a keyframe, I use this keyword at keyframes and then the identifier. So the identifier is the name of the animation. So let's say, let's give it a new name and let's say first animation, just to show you that you can use any word for this. And then let's try to set this. And then let's say at 0%, I want to change the background color. And then at 0%, the background color should be orange. So is the background color of our app I want to change. So at 25%, I want this, I want the same. Okay, I don't have to. So at 25%, I want the same background color to change to green. Okay, I think this guy needs it. And then at 50%, I want the background color to change to white. And then at 100%, I want the background color to be black. So let's try. So I've set up this keyframe, and then all I just have to do is go to this box. So it is box I want to set this animation to. So I go to box, and then I say animation. So you see, I can set it in a straight line, set all of them, but then no need for that. I'll click the whole thing. Wait, let's see how they did it here. Okay, animation name. So this animation property we set like the whole thing for us that we want at once, but then we don't want to set everything. We just want to set only the name, and then the name is first animation, right? Like how. Good. So I've set this animation, and then when I come back to my website, this is not working. This is not taking effect. Nothing is happening at all, right? So now what will happen is, why is this not happening? Can someone tell me why?
You did not set duration.
Okay, nice. So this is not working simply because I did not set the duration. So let me set the duration now. what's happening.
I think at 0, the color is still orange, and then the color of your box is orange. I think. Let's check.
Yeah, I told you to take to start to do in 2 seconds. So it's not supposed to take long. It's just supposed to start working out. So let me take out this transition first. Save this. And then let's see. Yeah, so we're good to go. So you see, this happened just once. If I rotate this, see, it happens just once. It changes the color, right? So now what happens to the iteration? Like I told you, iteration will determine like how many times this is gonna run. And then, okay, let's set the delay now. So the delay, let's set a delay of, let's say, 5 seconds. So animation delay, let's say 5 sec. And then let's come back here. Now what happens is, if I refresh this page, it will take 5 seconds first before the animation will take effect. Can you see? Let me refresh again. It takes 5 seconds. And then the animation. Awesome. So that's how the delay works, right? So what's the next property? So you can even set the delay to minus. So it takes less than. And then the iteration count. Now the iteration count is how many times we want this animation to run. As you can see this time around, if I do this, if I refresh this, it's going to work, it's going to run only once. And then not work again. Right? So what will happen now is, if I'll just go back there and then set the iteration. And then you see it's going to run like 3 times. So I can just set animation iteration count. So you can make it infinite. Infinite means it should keep running over and over and over and over again. But I'll just make it twice, right? Then we'll make it infinite for the last time. So let's wait for 5 seconds. This works. And then works twice. 1, 2, and then it doesn't work again. So first and foremost, it delays for 5 seconds, doesn't work, then it iterates for the first time, 1, stops, iterate again, 2, stop, and that's all. So we can set it to infinite, and then we just go here and say infinite, right? Save this, come back, and then see. Let me refresh this. It takes 5 seconds first, then it goes. First iteration, second iteration, third iteration, and then it keeps going. This is just how a web page is going to look like a Christmas tree, which is tied with a lot of bulbs, right? Or like a disco light, or what do you call it? Yeah, disco lights. So I'm going to take questions now. Don't tell me you don't have any. So the floor is yours. If you have a question, raise your hand, unmute your mic, and then you are free to speak. In the meantime, let me just keep looking at my animation. Yo, shoot.
So for the identifier, I saw you using camo keys for the keyframe identifier. So Must it be a camel case before it works, or you can just write it the way you
Not at
want?
all. Now, CSS doesn't care about your kind of cases, right? I guess that you're already learning JavaScript, so you understand the different casing we have, right? So CSS don't care. But I, for one, while programming, I love using camel case. And most JavaScript developers use camel case. So that's why I just use camel case there. So it's nothing at all. You can use anything at all. But great observation. So a lot of people now know about casing even before going into JavaScript.
Hello.
Hi.
Please, can we take this animation again? Sorry.
No problem.
Thank you.
All right. So let's try taking animation again. So let's go back. Oh, okay. So first, let me comment this guy out. So there's no longer animation. And then the web page is back to normal, how it looks. Only has a transformation on hover. But you understand how transform works, right?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Awesome. So let's go. So back to W3 schools, CSS animation. So animation, like we explained the first time, in the introductory class, we said to build a website, you need like 3 things: HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And then the HTML is for the structure of the website. The CSS is to style the website, which is what we are doing currently. And then the JavaScript is to manipulate the website or add interactions to it. But then this time around, we want to manipulate a CSS property and then a CSS element without, or we want to manipulate an HTML element without JavaScript using CSS. And then animation helps us to achieve this. So to understand animation, there are like three, these are the basic things that you need to understand about animation. First, keyframes. Now, keyframes is how you want the element to look at a particular period of time. So in the keyframes, you can specify how you want the elements to look, set the different styling within a period of time for that element. So while creating a keyframe, we create it with what is called an identifier. So the identifier is the animation name. So we'll try to create this. Just have the mental picture first in your head. So the animation name is the this is the identifier of the keyframe. So that when we add the identifier into if we go to an element and then we specify the identifier and the animation name, and then we impute an identifier for a keyframe, all the styling we did inside of that keyframe is what is going to take place in that animation in the web in the element. So next is the animation duration, which we said is a very, very important property that you have to specify. The default of an animation duration is 0. So if you don't set a duration for a particular animation, it's not going to take place. Nice. So the next is the delay. The delay is the amount of time it takes before an animation is going to take place, right? That's the delay. So next is the animation iteration count. So the animation iteration count is how many times the animation is going to run. So if you set up this timing, put a delay, maybe let's say you put a duration and you say your animation should run just within 5 seconds. So if it runs within that 5 seconds and the animation is done, if there's no iteration count set to it, to run only once. But then you are free to run different iteration counts. You can set your iteration count maybe to like infinity. So it should keep running as long as the page is open. So the timing function, the fill mode, and then the animation itself, this animation takes like the whole different property. The fill mode, I haven't tried this. The timing function, I think I have, but I've forgotten. So it's left for you guys to try it yourself, right? So what are animations? So you see, an animation, like I've explained, lets an element gradually change from one style to another. So an animation will make an element change from one style to another. And then the only way, the place whereby you can put all these styles is in the keyframes. Good. So the keyframe rule. So when you specify CSS inside the keyframe rule, the animation will gradually change from one current style to the new style. So if you understand keyframe a lot, you understand how animation works. So this is a simple explanation of an animation. And then here they are changing the background color from background color red to yellow. And then now they set the keyframes different. If you want to define animation, you define the animation differently. You don't define it the same with where you specify the animation. You specify the keyframe different. So that's what we did here. All right. So you see, this is where we set our keyframe, and then we set first animation. And then you can also set how this keyframes or the structure goes within a period of time. Maybe when the animation, since the animation duration might be 4%, 4 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, based on the percentage of the time, this is the particular style that we want it to have. So at 0%, the background color should be red. If it's 25%, it should be like yellow. So that means if our duration is 4 seconds, 25% of 4 seconds is 1 second. So when it start counting 0, when the duration is 1 second, it's going to change to yellow. When the duration is 2 seconds, it will change to blue. When it's 4 when it's 1 second, yellow, red. When it's 2, yellow. When it's 3, blue. And then when it's 4, which is 100%, it turns to green. And then the iteration stops. So let's try this out with what we're doing in class, so you can just see how it works. So this is where we specify the keyframe. And then I told you to specify a keyframe, you just say at keyframes. And then this, it tells you the identifier. So the identifier is the name of the animation, right? So that's what we did here. And I told you it can be anything. So we can just say second animation. Can you guys see what I'm writing properly? And then this one, I'll just say at 0%, the background color. It could be anything, right? It could be any CSS property that you want to set for that particular element, anyone at all. So let's say background color should be aquamarine, and then 50%. So this time I will not use like plenty stuff. I can just say the background color should be.
So I think your screen is not showing.
Oh, it's showing. It's from your end, I guess.
Yeah.
Sorry, maybe you should just try to zoom in a bit.
Okay, cool. Because I know I usually use smaller text while writing code, right? So, okay, so I think this is better. And then at 100%, I'm saying the background color should be orange. So after defining this keyframe, the next thing I will do now is go to the elements that I wanted to take up this animation. And then when I go to the element, first I will set the animation name, which I did here. So the animation name okay, let's do this for a different element. Let's do this for the flex container. So animation name, I can just say animation name. I can just say second animation, right? And then I just check my app. So this is this is it. So it's supposed to change, right? But it's not changing. So what's happening? We said that's because of the duration. So if I set a duration, that is how long I want it to run for. So animation duration, say 4 seconds. So I want this to run for 4 seconds. Now watch out. So let me refresh this. Now, you see I gradually changed. Let's refresh. Changes the color within 4 seconds from 0. So as 0 is at aquamarine, it goes to brown, and then it settles at orange. Yeah, is that what I put there? I don't know colors myself. Yeah, so aquamarine, brown, orange, and then since the animation is done, it goes back to the original color. So I told you guys after the animation, you can put a delay. That is, you want it to delay for a period of time, and then you can put the iteration count. So animation count, you can set it to infinity so that it should keep running. So now anytime you come to my website, this animation will keep rotating. So just watch out. You see how the colors are changing. So you can set it on any element. It doesn't necessarily have to be the background, right? It can be anything at all for your particular web page. So I don't actually want this animation to be here. So let me take this out and then go back to my previous animation that I prefer. So who has that question? Are you good to go with animations?
Yeah.
See how
Thank
this...
you so much.
all right, no problem. Okay, so we are back to normal thing that we know. All right, who's that? Let's hear your question, please.
Okay, please, how can we call the animation function if you don't want it to be automatic? Like, for example, if you hover your mouse onto the first picture, then it will change color or something like that.
Oh, yeah. So let's do that, right? So what we
Okay.
the only way to do that is we are going to comment this animation here in the box, and then we are going to set it in the hover. So let's say the box has a special property called hover. So if we hover a box, that is when this animation is going to take place. So let's cut this and then paste it in here, right? So let's then uncomment this. Now, the animation is not going to run except we hover on this box. So let's refresh. And then you see the animation is not working, right? But watch out. As soon as I hover on the box, it just delays for 5 seconds and then it's going to start working. Can you see? And then it's working only for the hovered button. Nice. So you see your question just fixed my design. I like this. Nice. Yeah. What do you guys think? So it doesn't work. It doesn't do like the thing for like all, like it doesn't look like a disco light. It's for the one that you specified, or the one that the box that you hovered on. That's the one that takes the effect. Nice. All right. So, who's next? Questions? Let me hear them, please. Like I told you, this is the last class. I will stop treating you guys like newbies, right? You are no longer newbies. Now you guys are senior front-end developers. If they ask you what's your tech stack, you tell them you're a front-end dev. If you can be able to use Flexbox, I give you that right. Tell anybody that you're a front-end developer. And trust me, you can do the job that the person will give you. You just maybe have to learn a little more. Right? So questions. Rufa is not asking me. Why is Rufa, are you enjoying the class or you're not enjoying it? Which one? Don't tell me Rufa is not here. Because I won't go over animation next time. Where's Rufai? Okay. He's a ghost student. Caleb, what's up? Maduna, you haven't said anything. Or were you the one that asked the previous question? And then Aisha is leaving the call. Okay, Aisha is here. Aisha, what's happening?
Everything is good, sir.
All right. How's it going? How's the class?
It's exciting.
Okay.
Very smoothly.
Awesome. No questions for me.
Yeah, Manu, I'm in a public place. That's why I don't want to talk.
Oh, nice, nice. I noticed. All right, no problem. Maduna, why are you not saying anything? Then Godfrey, my guy.
Everything is good, sir. I don't have any question.
Okay, you don't have any question. Where are you from?
I'm from South Africa.
Oh, awesome. How's South Africa?
It's good. It's good.
Great, great. So I'll be looking forward to seeing your submissions, right? So let me look for a very hard website to give you guys.
Yes, I will submit, sir.
Awesome. So how about the study groups? Are we still working in our study groups? Or if you don't have a study group, just signify. Let me see. Chukwubed, why don't you have a study group? Why? Fatima, Maduna, what's happening? You haven't connected with your friends in class? A lot of them too doesn't.
I have been offline all along, sir. I was struggling with network. That's why I haven't connect with my friend.
Yeah, so I will advise you do, because at this point you will need it. Chukwubed and Fatima, what's happening? Let me know.
Don't and having anything study group, so that's why. So I don't know. I'm just sharing for the first time now.
I really can't hear you. Can you come again?
I said I didn't know anything about study group. I'm just hearing it for the first time now. That's why.
Even me too.
So that's because you guys haven't been part of my classes, right? Is that what
I've
you
been
mean?
attending your classes.
Yeah, but I keep saying that you people should connect with one another and create groups. So probably
I know.
you haven't reached out to any of your colleagues. That's why you don't know. So if you are part of a study group, or you guys have been studying, or you have had discussions, even though it's just two of you within your group, just raise up your hand. If you know that you have discussed with another person about what you are learning, and then you try to solve a problem. Let me see. Just 4 people. That's not a good number. That is not a good number. All right. So these people that raise up their hands, just make sure you reach out to them on the Discord channel, and then I think from there they can be able to. You guys can continue discussing, right? So just do things your way. You can do it now, because the class is coming to an end. Because and then the whole thing I promised to teach for the day, I've already done it. I just want to add a little extra, just to keep up with the time. So with what you are saying, it means we should try grid, right? Will grid take us? Yeah. So I'll just explain CSS grid for you guys, and then we'll try out something little. It might not look like very beautiful. So all this while we've been building ugly web pages, right? So we'll just try out something with grid and then see how it works. You compare grid to this. So Chukobet, why is your hand still up? You can drop it, please. Hello. So we'll try out grid. See how grid works. Yo, Chukobet, your hand is still up. What's up? Okay. All right. So you yeah, Jethro, shoot.
Out of the context, but I think I should ask. For example, if we are using Flexbox to build a page, and then you want one of the columns or one of the boxes to be positioned static while the others move up and down, like have a scroll. Is it possible to use Flexbox, or we must use position to make one of it to be static and the others to move?
So you just set it in you just made it keep the same flex box, but that particular box that you want it to move around, you go and set the properties for it. Maybe you want it scrollable, because at some point you might give them a fixed height, right? And then the content inside is overflowing. So you can also set it from there, from the CSS property, and then it's going to set anyone that is overflowing should have like a scroll inside of it. So it just depends how you do it. But just try out different stuff, you see it's going to work out. But the main thing is to go like inside the main property. So let me show you. Like here now, this box. So each of these box, let's say this box has something bigger. All these have fixed lengths. Like, so let's say this one has like a paragraph that has text and it's dynamic, and then we have a bunch of text inside. So we can just come and style this particular box, or based on the CSS property, based on styling box, we can tell it if there's an overflow. So have you used like the overflow property? Have you tried it out? Eh?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, so that should help out, right? Overflow X, overflow Y, it will determine. So if there's an overflow, it's going to make the item scrollable. Is that what your question is? Or do you want to manipulate the size? Am I still on this call?
Yes, sir. You are still on the call.
All right, so let's proceed. So it's CSS grid layout module. So this is how a grid might look like. And then the sweet part is all this might be in one single container, right? So to make it responsive is as easy as possible. So this grid layout module offers a grid-based layout system with rows and columns, making it easier to design web pages without having to use floats and positioning. So it's solving the same problem as Flex, like I told you. So a grid layout consists of a parent element with one or more child elements. So display property. So an HTML element becomes a grid container when its display property is set to grid or inline grid. So you see inside of Flex now, you see grid, right? So all direct children of the grid container automatically become grid items. Yeah. So this one, well, mainly you set it, and then you say the container is grid. All the elements inside automatically become a grid element, and then they become flexible within it, taking equal size, equal height, and the rest. So the grid also work like Flexbox. So the horizontal lines of the grid are called rows, just like Flexbox that have rows and columns, right? So this is a grid gap. So this one has a gap and can specify a specific gap between the elements. So you see why this one is more sweeter to display cards and pictures and images. I would suggest you use grid. And then if you want to work with the layout, you use maybe like layout of the web page, having the sidebar, the nav bar, you work with the Flexbox. Or you want to display something in cards, I suggest you use grid. It's much more faster. So you can adjust the gap size by using one of the following properties: the column gap, the row gap, and then the gap itself. So if you use the column gap, it's going to set the gap based on the columns. So I think those are these gaps, right? These ones. This is the column gap. Yeah, it's signified here. This ones that goes down. And then these are the ones in row. This is the row gap. So if you set that for row gap, it will determine the row. And then when you say gap, you are signifying like for all of them, right? So as you can see, for gap, you can set the column and then the row, right? So grid lines. Grid lines are called column lines. So before we try our grid lines, let's just try these two. These are the two most important things for the grid element. So let's see how many minutes we have. 40. So let's see how we can do this in a very short period of time. Okay, so let's create another and then let's call it. So in the next class, I'm going to arrange this properly, right? But pardon me for now, this structure of this page, it looks dirty for me. But then when we arrange it properly, you see how you do it properly, right? So as a software developer, arrangement should be your concern because you are going to be working with like lots of files, and then there you are getting file choked up, and then you are confused which one is where, and then before you know, you become a crazy developer, right? And when I mean crazy, I don't mean crazy in terms of writing code. I mean crazy in terms of your head being scattered, right? So I just try to generate the boilerplate again. And then this is a new page. I call this page, what's this? Grid. Okay. Yo, who has a question? And then let's try to link the CSS. Okay, so same thing. I'm going to create another container, and then this time around, I'm going to give it the class of grid container. Awesome. And then I'm going to create so let's open the CSS file here. Good. And then let's put grid container the same way we do it always. Nice. And then let's not style anything. So okay, let's style the body. And then I'll just give the body padding 0, margin or 0.2. And then I'm going to say height. I'll set the height of 100 VH, which is like the complete screen. Then, yeah. And then I'll set the background color. No, I will set the background color here. I'll set the background color in the grid container. Okay, so let's try to go live. Oops, what's happening? Yeah, so here we are in grid. And then sorry guys, can I just get this call? I'll be with you less than a minute. Okay, sorry guys. That was work, so I just had to take it. So we have like 15 minutes to round up. So I think that's more than enough time to put our grids and then take much questions from you guys. You guys are not giving me questions today, so I don't like the vibe. So yeah, so here we are. This is the grid elements, and then we have styled the body, and then right now the next thing to do is to add bunch of elements in it. So I'm going to add like bunch of divs. So I'm going to give them numbers. So let's add like 15 divs like we did the last time. Let's just add a bunch of them.
So you didn't move it to the correct style sheet.
You said? Oh yeah, nice, awesome. So you guys are debugging. I like that. I like that. Now I will have just been wondering what's happening to my code. Thank you very much.
From 10 is 11, sir. You put 10, 12.
Now we are going to start, man, because I can't go back to doing this again. All right, thank you. So grid container, and then let's have a look at what this looks like. So what will happen is I'll just use the normal combinator selector, and then I'll say the div inside. So since there are a lot of divs, so any div that is inside grid container is going to take this star, right? So I'm going to give it a width of 10%, and then a height of 100 px or 200 px, same way as before. I'll give it a background color that we can be able to see it of white, and then the grid container, I'll give it a background color of aqua, and then I will give the height to inherit. So since it's inside of the body, to take 100 VH. And here we are. So now we have a bunch of grid elements aligned in here. And what is the problem? Okay, so these are the elements, and then this is what it looks like in default. So you can see all the boxes. So let me put a border to this. PX solid. Yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4, blah blah blah, down to 19. This is how it looks like. And then it's overflowing, even though I placed 100 VH to it. So let's look at the magic now. In grid, all I just have to do is make this grid container that hold all these elements, give it a property of grid. No, display, and then say grid. Now let's see. What's happening?
The color.
The what?
The template colors.
Let's read
The display of the grid boxes should be grid too, I think.
Nothing will happen until you save the colors. I think so.
Okay. So grid or inline grid, all children of the diary automatically become grid items. So I'm working based on this, right? Okay. Yeah.
Template columns.
Yeah. Very important. So the column. So the column now specifies how many columns, how do I want this to be arranged inside of this place, right? So how do I want this to be arranged? Do I want this to be arranged in 3 columns, 2 columns, 4 columns, 5 columns? And then the grid will determine how that would be, right? So what's like the command?
Grid template column.
Yeah, there you go. Nice. Who's that? Thank you very much. So let's read about the grid template columns first, and then we'll understand. So the grid, grid container, to make an HTML element behave like a grid container, you have to set the display grid, which we did. And then grid container contains of grid items placed inside the columns and the rows. So we successfully made the container grid, but we didn't give it the amount of columns and the rows that we want. So the grid template columns property defines the number of columns in your grid layout. It can define the width of each column. The value is a space-separated list where each value defines the width of the respective column. If you want your grid layout to become 4 columns, specify the width of 4 columns or auto. Okay, so if I set it auto, it's going to be the total amount of columns in here. So that means in our case, if I set it to auto, it's going to be 14, 19 or 18, since we have -1, right? So let's try setting the grid template columns. Yeah, you know what? Let's just try this out. So then let me use auto. Would this work? Okay, so this is just for the first one. Okay, so since we have like 19 of these, we have to duplicate like bunch of them. So what will happen is I can't do this for a lot. Let's drop this to 5, and then later we can. So let's see how it works. Okay. Now we have 5 elements in grid. No, this shouldn't work this way. So let's read these template columns properly. Yep. So they want me to set a size for each of the templates. That's serious. Okay. And then I can be able to justify the contents, and then I can also set the grid template rows, defines the height of each row. Okay, awesome. So let's try this out, since we have to do for like each of them. So since this is can we use percentage with this? Since there are 5 of them, then let's try to append like 20%. Yeah. So let's see. No. There's a problem somewhere. This is not how. Come in, guys. Let me just fix some stuff here. Let me try to take out this height. Okay, cool. I think the problem was because I was setting the height and the width, right, in the div, which I wasn't supposed to do. Grid was supposed to give it automatic, right? So I gave each of these 20%, so you can see how this is being arranged, right? So let me try something crazy. Let me give this 100%, and then give the rest 20. Okay, that takes completely everything. So it has to be the same thing. So let's try to do something crazy now. So I'll divide my web page into three, giving two ends 25%, and giving the middle, okay, giving two ends 20% and giving the middle 60%. And then I'm going to give this ID of body, and then I'm going to set body here. This is just to give it a color, just to differentiate all of them. I'm going to give body a background color of, what's this, bisque. Okay, let's work with bisque. All right, so we have this now. So let me fix this properly. I want to give this 20%. I want to give this the 60%, and then give this last part the 20%. And then let's have a look. So you see how you can structure your web page. So this can be like the main body, and then this can be like the sidebar. This can be like another sidebar. So let me show you a sweet example of a website that implemented a grid box with something like this. So let me just go to Twitter. I think I have my Twitter account here. So Twitter. And then can you see Twitter? Can you see how it is divided? 1, 2, 3. They just use grid to do this. And then inside of each of these elements, they start, if you want to make a sidebar, they do it this way, they do it this way, they do it this way, right? That's how it works. So you can also set more elements into this grid items. So what happens if we have like 4 elements now instead of 3, and then we're configuring for only 3? What happens? Let's have a look. Interesting. So you see, now I really can't ascertain why this is looking this way. I was expecting to have like the 4th element at the bottom. Okay, yeah. So that's what happened, right? So it just gave the next element like 20% or so, and then this is the whole body. So this is the 4th item. So the 4th item went down to like the bottom of the file. So this is the next column. So the more items, more they keep stacking themselves on each other. But I've specified a particular how I want the layout of this to look like, right? So these are different ways whereby you can display your website. If I want the website to look like, I can also do this. Let me add more. So this 4, 5, 7. So let's see. So you see, they take equal size. So since I'm specifying that on each row, nice. So I like this now. So let me take out 7 and then explain something and bring back 7. So since I'm specifying that I want the grid to have 20% and then just 3 boxes on a particular column, it's going to take 20, 60, 20, and then automatically it's going to wrap down. So you see, this time you don't have to specify a flex wrap. It's going to wrap down automatically by itself, and then it's going to take the remaining spaces for the 3 that are remaining, right? So the first item in the grid is always going to take 20%. The next one will take 60, the next one will take 20. So meaning, if I want to display this in equal terms and I want to display them in rows of 4, I will just simplify 20% here. So or let's say 25%. So that means I want this to display in false, right? So let's have a look. Can you see? 1, 2, 3, 4. All of them are taking 24%, and then it wraps down. The remaining two are taking 20% too.